Preserving and processing fish and shellfish. Fish are highly perishable. They begin to deteriorate right after death, losing some of their nutritional contents. Through preservation and various processing methods, their deterioration is slowed down. Fish preservation is a way of saving fish from spoilage. Its purpose is to keep the fish or shellfish fresh or edible as long as possible. This way, the preserved products can be stored for long periods and transported to distant areas. Fish products are preserved by freezing them. Freezing stops the growth of bacteria that cause fish spoilage. It slows down the action of enzymes. Fish last for several months in cold storage without change in quality or flavor. Objectives: define fish preservation and processing, determine the importance of fish preservation, identify the different methods of processing fish. Qualities of fresh fish and shellfish. In fish preservation, the qualities of fresh fish are kept as much as possible. These are as follows. Fresh fish are firm and elastic. They have fresh seaweedy odor. They have bright red gills with clear slime. They generally sink in water unless the gas bladder is inflated. Their belly walls are intact. Their skin is shiny and tight. Their scales are complete and stick well to the vein. Their eyes are clear and full, not sunken. Fresh shellfish are marketed live. They have the following qualities. Fresh shellfish have translucent flesh, not opaque. They smell fresh. They taste sweet. They are free from red tide. Fat crab have more algae. Their claws are not sharp. Their teeth are sunken and their claws. Types of shellfish. Molochs. Molochs have hard shells. They have leathery but delicious meat. Example of molochs are snails or what we call kohol, halaan, mussels or tahong, suso, oyster or talaba, clams, and tulya. Crustaceans. Crustaceans have hard body covering called exoskeletons, or what we call the external skeletons. Example of crustaceans are green crab or alimango, blue crab or alimasag, small crab or talangka, large shrimp or sugpo and swahe, lobster, ulang, and small shrimps or what we call tagunton or alamang. Fish processing. Different methods or techniques of fish processing. Salting. Salting is the process that lowers the moisture or water content of fish and other fishery products to a point where microorganisms cannot live and grow. Sodium chloride or salt improves fish texture because it firms up the fish. Salt partially dehydrates the fish and kills the bacteria. The three basic methods of applying salt to preserve fish. First, we have pickle salting. Cover the fish with salt and pack them in a layer in a watertight containers. This forms the pickle that serves as the saturated brine solution that covers the fish completely. Second, we have brine salting. Immerse the fish in a saturated solution made up of 25 parts of salt and 100 parts of water. Brine salting is done only as a temporary way to preserve fish before they are dried, smoked, or processed. Third, dry salting. Run granular salt on the fish. The proportion of salt to fish varies from 10% to 35% of the fish weight. Steps in salting. Place the fish either in crushed ice or frozen brine. Remove the fins. Remove the head, it is optional. Next, split the fish along the dorsal section. Spread it open. Remove the internal organs such as the intestines. Next, take out the black membrane of the fish. Wash the fish thoroughly and drain it a little. Rub the fish well with salt. And last, arrange the fish in a container. Place the container inside a refrigerator. Next method or techniques of fish processing is smoking. So this method combines with salting, pre-cooking, and drying. The final process, or what we call the smoking, dehydrates the fish further. The smoke gives color and flavor to the fish. Steps in smoking. Clean the fish by removing the gills and make a 1/2 inch slit in the fish belly. Wash the fish thoroughly with clean water. Next, soak the fish in a brine solution, 1 part of salt to 10 parts of water, for 20 or more minutes depending on the size of the fish. Next, place the fish in the immersion basket made of woven bamboo, strips, or wire netting. The basket will be suspended during the immersion in boiling brine. Cook for 2 to 4 minutes or more depending on the size of the fish. Next, drain the fish. Allow them to cool after being cooked in brine solution. Place it in a layer of wire screen or rattan or bamboo and have it dried in a cool and shady place. Next, smoke the fish in tin cans for 1 to 2 hours until it gets golden brown. The length of smoking actually differs depending on the size of the fish and the smoke produced. Last, pack the smoked fish in coarsely wooden bamboo baskets. Line the sides and bottom of the basket with old newspaper. Cool the fish completely before packing them to allow moisture to escape and prevent the attack of mold and bacteria. Next methods or techniques of fish processing is drying. This method is also known as natural dehydration. Like the salting method, it lowers the water content of the fish to a point where microorganisms, bacteria, enzymes, and yeast cannot grow and multiply. The most popular fish preservation method is solar drying. It is done in a combination with salting. Fish dried under the sun look and taste better. Steps in drying. Wash the fish thoroughly. Next, soak the fish in 10% brine solution for 1/2 hour to draw out the blood. Squeeze or open the belly cavity, remove the visceral or internal organs. Next, soak the fish for 3 to 6 hours in the concentrated brine solution to partially draw out the moisture or water content of the fish. Next, place the salted fish in drying trays and dry it under the sun. Next, when the fishes are thoroughly dried, pack them and store them in a clean, dry place. Next methods or techniques of fish processing is called curing. This method uses chemical preservatives, including vinegar and salt, smoke, and other physical factors to reduce the moisture or water content of the fish. Cured fish or fishery products possess flavor and texture completely different from those of the fresh fish. Another methods or techniques of fish processing is what we call dehydration. Dehydration is an artificial process of drying because it is done with the use of mechanical devices such as an oven that produce artificial heat for drying. Another methods or techniques of fish processing also is what we call pickling. Pickling is a method of preserving food in brine or vinegar. It can be done with or without bacterial fermentation. Next methods or techniques of fish processing is what we call cooking. Cooking is the best way to prevent wastage or spoilage of fish. Cooking fish with vinegar, like in a paksiw, prolongs the period of preservation. Next methods or techniques of fish processing is what we call canning. Canning is the packing of fish in airtight containers such as tin cans and glass jars, which prevent air and microorganisms from entering. Through heat processing, microbes inside the can are destroyed, thus preventing spoilage under normal condition and allowing the fish to be stored for longer periods. Sardines and salmons are the most commonly canned fish in the market. Steps in canning. Remove the scales of the fish. Next, remove the internal organs. Cut off the head and the tail of the fish. Next, cut the cleaned fish to fit the size of the can to be used. Next, for 30 minutes, soak the fish in 20% brine solution. Half fry the fish in oil. Next, fill each can with half-fried fish. Leave about 1/4 inch space. Add a tablespoonful of corn oil and tomato sauce. Do not add salt because the fish has been brined. Next, seal the filled cans temporarily. Use the first roll operation of the can sealer. Next, for 10 minutes, steam the clinch can without pressure to exhaust the air inside the cans. Then seal the can completely. For 45 minutes, process the sealed cans at a 15-pound pressure using the can sealer. And lastly, immediately cool the processed cans in a running water. Last methods or techniques of fish processing is what we call fermentation. Fermentation is a fish preservation method in which fish in brine solution undergo chemical reaction. Bagoong is the most important fermented product in the Philippines. Steps in fermentation. First, clean the fresh alamang. Remove sticks, shells, seaweeds, and other materials. Next, wash the alamang in a weak brine solution, 1 part of salt to 9 parts of water. Drain it well, cover the container while draining the alamang to keep flies away. Next, mix alamang thoroughly with salt, 1 part of salt to 3 parts of alamang. Next, place the alamang salt mixture in a clean container. And last, store the bagoong in a clean, warm place.